Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the synthesis of yoga with our beloved Ranga. We are at the very beginning in the second paragraph of the synthesis. You want to read it first, and we'll do the same way we do Life Divine?
Yes.
Very good.
We'll read the whole para first, and then we'll come back to each sentence. In the right view, both of life and of yoga, all life is either consciously or subconsciously a yoga. For we mean by this term a methodized effort towards self-perfection by the expression of the potentialities.
The secret potentialities.
Pardon?
The secret potentialities?
Secret potentialities latent in the being and highest condition of victory in that effort. Then, a union of the human individual with the universal and transcendent existence we see partially expressed in man and in the cosmos. But all life, when we look behind its appearances, is a vast yoga of nature, attempting to realize her perfection in an ever-increasing expression of her yet unrealized potentialities and to unite herself with her own divine reality. In man, her thinker, she for the first time upon this earth devises self-conscious means and willed arrangements of activity by which this great purpose may be more swiftly and puissantly attained. Yoga, as Swami Vivekananda has said, may be regarded as a means of compressing one's evolution into a single life or a few years or even a few months of bodily existence. A given system of yoga, then, can be no more than a selection or a compression into narrower but more energetic forms of intensity of the general methods which are already being used loosely, largely, in a leisurely movement with a profuser apparent waste of material and energy, but with a more complete combination by the Great Mother in her vast upward labor. It is this view of yoga that can alone form the basis for a sound and rational synthesis of yogic methods. For then, yoga ceases to appear something mystic and abnormal, which has no relation to the ordinary processes of the world energy or the purpose she keeps in view in her two great movements of subjective and objective self-fulfillment. It reveals itself rather as an intense and exceptional use of powers that she has already manifested or is progressively organizing in her less exalted but more general operations. Srimada's words are very, 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 very clear and
precise.
Yeah, precise. So we'll have to look at what he's saying, and when we understand the use of the words, our understanding increases, okay? Because he packs in a lot of information into his prose. So, in the right view, I'm reading the sentences right from the beginning of the para. In the right view both of life and of yoga, all life is either consciously or subconsciously a yoga. Okay? So, he's saying that yoga can be conscious and subconscious. Where is it conscious? When it is practiced by man. Where is it subconscious? When you see it occurring in nature. That is unconscious because it seems to be a mechanical action. Evolution from matter is mechanical. It takes a long time. There is an urge in matter to express itself because the divine is there in matter. But it takes a long time. And so he is calling it he's not calling it unconscious, he's calling it subconscious.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
So there is a consciousness, some fundamental primary consciousness is there in matter, and that it is producing life. And from life comes out mind, and this, up to this point, he says it is subconscious. But when man starts doing yoga, it becomes a conscious evolution. Yes.
What in Sri-Aurobindo's definition subconscious means?
What is subconscious?
In Sri-Aurobindo's
I think it means not full aware. Matter is not aware that I am doing yoga.
Then it is unconscious, no?
Pardon?
Then it is unconscious, if not fully aware. Subconscious is something.
There is a vague feeling of, otherwise the effort is there, right? If the effort is not there, then it is unconscious. But there is some sort of effort in matter to produce life. That's why
Is nature somewhat conscious?
Yes. Subconscious.
Subconscious. There we are.
Yeah. But when it comes to man who is practicing, man wants perfection, and he is very, very aware that he wants to go to another level of perfection. So then it becomes conscious. So, conscious in man, subconscious in nature. But he is calling the evolution of nature also in yoga. Because what is yoga? He will explain now. He will define what yoga is. For we mean by this term, which term? Yoga. We mean by this term a methodized effort towards self-perfection by the expression of the potentialities, secret potentialities latent in the being and highest condition of victory in that effort. Okay? So, we'll finish the sentence and then we'll come back to it. Okay? Secret in the being and a union of the human individual with the universal and transcendent existence. We see partially expressed in man and in the cosmos. So, we have to understand that nature is there in three ways. Okay? First of all, the divine is there without his manifestation. Before manifestation, he exists. He is in a transcendent state. He has not yet produced the cosmos. So that's a transcendent. Man can experience that state also. So when he has to go, he can identify himself with the transcendent divine. But once the divine has produced the cosmos, he starts producing the cosmos, he doesn't let it go on its own. He himself also enters into it. Okay? Then the cosmos is producing the individual forms. And there also the divine enters into each individual form. In other words, even in a stone, even in the atom, there is a divine presence. But it has lost its full consciousness, it has become subconscious. Okay? Now, so there are three basic ways you can experience the divine. Transcendent, out of the cosmos, or you see the divine in the cosmos, okay, which is the cosmic consciousness, or you can see the divine within yourself. That's individual. So here Sri Aurobindo is saying, yoga is a method by which you can do any of the three.
So the divine putting himself into all creation.
Yes.
There is no chaos. Without him, there would be chaos.
Yes.
If he did not put himself in.
You can say that. Because he comes down and he is governing it.
Exactly.
It's like a parent who produces a child, but the parent doesn't say, you do whatever you want, I'm not going to interfere. He starts supervising his own son, and he guides him on the right way. So that's what the divine does when he enters into the cosmos. And he also enters into the individual. So these are the three ways that you can experience the divine. I'm saying this because he's going to refer to that. Okay, so now he is defining yoga. It's a methodized effort. When can you say that the effort is methodized and when it is not methodized? When it is subconscious, there is no method. But yoga, when man is doing it, there is a method. Each yoga, there are very clear steps. In Raj Yoga, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. There are 8 steps. Okay? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dhana, Dharana, Samadhi. There are very clear steps. Hatha Yoga also, there are very clear steps. Methodized. It's not a haphazard effort. Okay? That's the first thing. So methodized, very important effort. Towards what? What are you making an effort towards? Self-perfection. When you see imperfections in yourself, you want to get rid of them. Most human beings don't bother too much about that. Then they're not doing yoga. Yoga starts when you want to get rid of your imperfections. So that's what he's saying, towards self-perfection. How do you get the self-perfection? By the expression of the potentialities, secret potentialities latent in the being. In other words, just now we said that the divine is there in you. And he is the potential. So you are not seeking the divine outside yourself. You are seeking something which is already there in you. So it's not you are not looking for a new experience or a stranger or something. You already have that potentiality. It's like a flower has to bloom. That which is there inside has to come out. Okay? So, in the being. And what is the purpose of yoga? A union of the human individual with the universal and transcendent existence. So there you are. We discussed the transcendent, the cosmic and the individual. That's exactly what he's saying here now. A union of the human individual. So the individual soul can identify itself with the universal soul, and it can also identify itself with the transcendent existence. Normally, these 3 things don't happen together, but any one is sufficiently satisfying. You're asking something.
Universal and cosmic.
Yes. Yeah. When you are in a cosmic consciousness, you find that the whole universe is within you. Okay? That's a cosmic consciousness. So you identify yourself with the universe and you realize that the whole cosmos is within you. There is another way also of experiencing the cosmic consciousness. You find yourself in everything. Okay? So, I see myself in everybody else's. There is an interesting sonnet of Sri Aurobindo where he says, to whichever person I turn, I see myself with another face. So, identification with everybody. You experience the unity of the whole thing. That's a cosmic. But when you are experiencing the divine transcendent, you feel yourself to be outside the universe. You feel yourself to be outside your body. You are looking at your body and it is not, you are not in it. Normally your consciousness is in the body. But when you are in the transcendent, you are outside your own body and outside the universe. It is down there. You are seeing all the movement of the universe down there, but you are not affected by it. That's a transcendent. So any of these things is the aim of yoga. Okay? Now, he's saying, we go to the next sentence. But all life, when we look behind its appearances, is a vast yoga of nature, attempting to realize her perfection in an ever-increasing expression of her yet unreached potentialities, and to unite herself with her own divine reality. Okay.
I'd like to read to you what I have.
Yeah.
Someone else has it also?
Okay, read.
Yes.
But all life?
But all life, when we look behind its appearances, is a vast yoga of nature, who attempts in the conscious and the subconscious to realize her perfection in an ever-increasing expression of her yet unrealized potentiality.
Okay. So the difference between my text and yours is, he is including yoga in the universe as well as in the individual. He has added that later on. Why these differences are there? Because after Sri Aurobindo passed away, they found a book, Synthesis, and Sri Aurobindo had made corrections in the book. So they have incorporated those in the next edition.
Was it a few chapters or the whole book?
Pardon?
Was it a few chapters? He did a few chapters, a whole book.
See, he in the 1940s, he revised the Life Divine thoroughly and added many chapters. But synthesis was not so thoroughly done. Okay. Some of the chapters towards the supermind and all that he has done, because when he wrote this in 1910, 1920 in the Arya, he had not yet experienced the overmind consciousness. That was in 1926. So he added those things later on, some things. But just like Savitri, synthesis is incomplete. So, you know that, na? Savitri is incomplete because the book of death, not there.
And the epilogue.
Yeah.
Epilogue.
Yeah. To a certain extent, yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yeah. But when he asked towards the end, 1948-49, he was in a hurry I must finish Savitri soon, he said. And when Narad got a shock, he said, why is he saying finish soon? And then he asked him, what remains to be done? So Narad told him, the book of death you have to deal with. He said, oh, that we shall see later on. It almost sounded as though, let me go through the experience and then I can complete it. He may still do that because he's going to come back in the first supramental body. So,
built in the supramental way.
Yes. So he might still complete Savitri after he comes back. Okay. So what Narad has added, because he is talking of yoga, he's talking now of yoga in the individual as well as in the cosmos. Okay. Now, still there's something interesting. To unite herself. Who is this herself? Nature. And she wants to unite herself with her own divine reality. Just like the divine is there in human beings, the divine is there also in nature. And nature also wants to do exactly what we are doing consciously, nature is doing unconsciously, up to the point where man comes into the picture. Okay? So that's why he's adding that. So. And there's another thing that we have to look at. When we look behind appearances, what are these appearances? The forms that you see in the physical world are all appearances only. Just like man wears clothes, you spiritually, your body is a clothing. It's a garment which covers your soul. Your vital is a slightly inner garment which covers also. Then the mind also is the innermost garment. So these three garments are there, and deep hiding behind these appearances is a soul. So you have to get rid of all these, you have to divest yourself of all these garments and realize your soul. Okay, so that's what nature also is doing. And what are nature's garments? Matter, life, and mind. These are also nature's things. So, life has come out of matter. The first garment has been shed, if you want. Mind has come out of life. That's the second garment that is shed. Now nature has to shed the mind garment also and has to go to the supermind. That also will happen. Okay? In man, her thinker, she for the first time upon this earth devises self-conscious means and willed arrangements of activity by which this great purpose may be more swiftly and puissantly attained. So, he is giving you different words for yoga. In man, her thinker. Man is very much a part of nature, and nature has got matter, nature has got life, the animals, and nature has also got man who is her thinker.
What is interesting to me is she for the first time upon this earth.
Yes. First time means after man's arrival, not before that. When the animal is there is no yoga. So when man comes in, now yoga can become conscious. And he puts it in a very interesting way in another place. He says, nature, impatient of a slow progress, creates man so that her own evolution can go faster. Okay, so in her thinker, man is her thinker. She has produced man. Okay? So, where is it gone? Yeah. And now he is defining also the yoga. She devises self-conscious means. Self-conscious means exactly yoga. And willed arrangements. Okay? All yoga is arranged, but it is willed arrangement. It is conscious processes he's talking about of activity by which this great purpose may be more swiftly and puissantly attained. It's a very slow process until now, but after man has come into the picture, it can go much faster. Okay. This is a rule of manifestation. You have to see that as the progress keeps going upwards, the rate of evolution also goes faster and faster. We can see that in everything, even in technology we can see that. Okay, see, even the phone technology and all that, it's going so fast. Every 6 months you have 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G is going on. It goes faster and faster and faster. If you see also on a scale of 1 to 100, where man has appeared, you'll be surprised to know this is a scientific statement. He has come only towards 90, around 90, 91, 92, on a scale of 1 to 100, 0 to 100. So long it took for man to come up. But now that man has come up, it can go much faster. Okay? So, now he is talking about Swami Vivekananda. Yoga, as Swami Vivekananda has said, may be regarded as a means of compressing one's evolution into a single life or a few years or even a few months of bodily existence. So it is compressing your evolution. Nature is doing it very casually. It is producing trees and all sorts of trees. There is no hurry. I produce this, I produce that. Let me do it leisurely. She produces animal forms and she is doing that in so many ways. No hurry. But when man comes in, there is a little bit of a hurry. So he wants to do it. And so you compress your evolution in a concentrated manner. When you concentrate it, it goes faster and becomes more effective. Okay. Just as we compress sunlight, it develops tremendous power. In Orwell, we have a solar kitchen. They're huge, and with that energy, they are actually doing all the cooking. Exactly in the same way, here also, when you compress something, it develops a power. We can see that. We explain that to children with a magnifying glass. Take a magnifying glass and put it, and the sun rays come, and it develops enough power to burn your cloth or your paper or anything. So this is what you have to do with your consciousness. Normally it is discursive, it is distributive, it is distracted, it is going all over. There is no concentration at all. But you get rid of all that and concentrate it on a particular place, it becomes like the laser light. Okay, laser is concentrated light. It develops power. Can you imagine laser cutting steel? And laser is nothing but light. So that much power you can develop in yoga. Okay, so compressing one's evolution. This compressing is a very interesting thing. One idea came to me just now when we were discussing. When a flower is blooming from a bud, maybe it takes a day. No? Slowly, you don't see it growing. But if you do what is time-lapse photography, okay, you can compress that one day into 15 minutes, you will see the blooming. That is also a compression. You are compressing your own evolution, it goes much faster and you can see it. Otherwise, there is an evolution, but you don't see it. It's so slow. Okay? So, and if this is interesting, even a few months of bodily existence, I want to mention one thing about mother, if you remember. There was an Indian gentleman who saw mother in Paris, and he told her how to read the Gita. He said, you read the Gita, take Sri Krishna as the indwelling divine. And mother said, this idea was new, that the divine is also indwelling in me. And she says, I hurried up, je me suis précipité et j'ai trouvé ma psychique en 6 mois. In 6 months, she realized her psychic being. That's compression for you. So we can't do that in even one life, but she did it in 6 months' time. Okay, so compression. A given system of yoga then can be no more than a selection or a compression into narrower but more energetic forms of intensity of the general methods which are already being used loosely, largely, in a leisurely movement with a profuser apparent waste of material and energy, but with a more complete combination by the Great Mother in her vast upward labor. Now, look at each word and see what he's saying. Okay, so a given system of yoga. So he's saying that there are many given systems of yoga. He will discuss later on Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. These are all different techniques. They have got different techniques and different methods. And he also discusses Tantra later on. And Raj Yoga he touches upon. So these are all different schools of yoga which have their own methods. So a given system, he's saying, is a... Where is it gone? A given system of yoga can then be no more than a selection, because you are selecting either the body or the heart or the mind and proceeding with it. Okay? A given system of yoga can then be no more than a selection or a compression into narrower but more energetic forms of intensity of the general methods which are already being used loosely. Who is using? The Great Mother is using loosely. What are the general methods? In nature, you see 3 steps of evolution. You see matter, there is power in it. Okay? So if you can extract energy out of matter. There is life, that's the second one. There also you can extract energy out of life. Okay? And there is mind. And you concentrate the mind, there also there is energy. So what nature is already doing loosely and in a very haphazard and diluted manner, man can do the same. That's what Srimla is saying. What is interesting here is, other yogas don't do that. But Srimla is saying, I will follow what nature is doing. He is he will be working in complete sync with nature. Whatever nature has done, we will also do. What he means is, he will go into more, he doesn't spell it out very clearly, that's why I'm telling you. When nature is producing life out of matter, has she rejected life? Has she rejected matter? No, she hasn't. She has created the animal, which is a combination of matter and life. So nature has not rejected matter. When she creates man, has she rejected matter? No. Man has a body and also he has a life. So we will follow exactly the same method. We will not reject, like the ascetic, our body and our life. We won't. That's why he's saying we'll follow nature. What nature has done, there must be an inherent wisdom in it. And we will follow the same method. In the next paragraph, he explains what those methods are. Whatever is there in nature already, the energy is there in matter, the energy is there in life, the energy is there in mind. We will devise methods of how to use this energy in the body, in the life and in the mind. Interesting point is, man has discovered how to use the energy from matter. No? We know that. Because you can burn coal, you are extracting energy from matter. You burn charcoal, you are extracting energy from matter. You can extract nuclear energy from uranium, plutonium, thorium, etc. So you have learnt how to extract energy from these. We know how to extract also energy from the wind, energy from the sun. Okay? But yoga is not using instruments for extracting energy from the body, nor is it extracting energy from prana, nor from the mind. Science is using instruments. But man is not using, he is only using yogic methods of extracting energy from all these 3. Okay? So that's what he's saying. So he's saying what nature is doing, we will do the same, but with less apparent waste, profuser apparent waste. This is a very interesting question of you see a lot of waste in nature. Okay? But actually it is not waste. There is a purpose to it. So that's why he's saying apparent waste. I make the students explain to me examples of waste in nature. Okay? So, a forest fire comes and burns down a whole forest. Wasted? Okay. A flood comes and completely destroys whole villages. Wastage? Okay. The sun is 4,000 degrees centigrade or whatever it is. By the time it comes here, it's a slight warmth. What has happened to all that energy? Is that wasted? So, when a fish lays eggs, it lays hundreds of eggs. Out of those hundreds of eggs, how many mature? Very few. Again, is it a waste? So they are saying it is not a waste. It looks like a waste, but actually it is apparent waste.
Same with the tree producing seeds.
Yes.
Thousands of seeds.
Exactly.
To get one or two trees.
Yes. So this is a method of nature. I am making sure that the species continues. So this is what he means by profuser apparent waste. And waste of what? Material as well as energy. But with a more complete combination by the Great Mother in her vast upward labor. So, vast upward labor, evolution. So, Srimdu often does this. You have to go into the words and a whole phrase you can compress into one word. But instead of using one word, he uses 3-4 words. Why? Because he is giving you information. The nature of evolution is vast, number one. Okay? Not in the individual, but in nature. Upward. It's an evolution going upwards. Science doesn't admit that. Science says it's a random mutation of cells without any purpose, without any aim. Okay? But Srimad is very clearly saying there is a purpose, upward, and labor. It's a very lot of effort goes into yoga and evolution also. You were saying something.
Maybe you can explain why nature is using such a vast means, like wasting lots of materials and...
Because its movement is integral and it does not want to sidetrack anything. What is the universe? The evolution is taking place where? In nature, in the universe. So it is taking everything along with it. In fact, this is an interesting question. And we usually give the example of, in December when the school holidays start, our children go for a walk. Okay, they walk all the way to Jinji, which is 50 kilometers from here, and they start. Maybe 50 children start all together. Okay, so they go, and then some lag behind, and when they lag behind, then the captain says, "Wait, let the others catch up." Okay, so nature is doing the same. It is not letting anybody lag behind. Okay, that is what is happening. Even in our in the Vedic period, there was a huge amount of spiritual progress, but the material progress, scientific progress, it was very advanced in the Vedic period, but not as much as it is today. We didn't have mobiles and TVs in the Vedic period, but there were a lot of development in astronomy and surgery and all that. But now nature is saying, let the material progress catch up. So that's exactly why. So that is the vastness that he's talking about. It doesn't leave anything out. Everything has to participate in the evolution.
But nature has told Mother that she was enjoying this experiment.
Yes.
And Mother told her that if you work with me, you will be more beautiful.
Yes. And nature, you may feel that there is a personality also for nature. That's the interesting part. Okay. In the West also you have the god Pan who represents nature. So there is an individualization also. Everything that is impersonal in the physical world has a personal representative. in the overmind level of consciousness. Okay? So we come back to our text. So I read that sentence again. A given system of yoga then can be no more than a selection or a compression into narrower but more energetic forms. He is using the word narrower because selection. If you are doing Hatha Yoga, you are narrowing it down only to the body. If you are doing Bhakti Yoga, you are narrowing it down only to your emotions. You are not worried about the thoughts of the body. If you are doing Jnana Yoga, you are concentrating only in the mind. So you are narrowing it down. Sri Aurobindo does not want any narrowing down because he says, I'll do what nature is doing. I'll include all. So keep that. Already the suggestion is there. That's why his yoga is integral. He neither wants to reject the body, neither the life, nor the mind. Okay? So he's saying into narrower but more energetic forms of intensity of the general methods. The general methods that he's talking about, he'll give you examples later on. Matter, life and mind. These are the three stages which are there already. Which are already being used loosely, largely, in a leisurely movement with a profuser apparent waste of material and energy. But with a more complete combination by the Great Mother in her vast upward labor. The waste of material and energy is clear. Okay. Waste of material, as you said, 100,000 seeds are produced and most of the seeds go waste of material. And when the sun loses much of its heat, it is an energy loss. So it's a waste of energy. Okay, that's what he means. He's using both matter and... So whenever we read Sri Aurobindo, we must try and picture to ourselves what he exactly means. Then our understanding increases. Okay, so he's very clear. He's mentioning both. Waste of material and energy. He's not saying any one of them. He's saying both. Okay, we read the next sentence. It is this view of yoga that can alone form the basis for a sound and rational synthesis of yogic methods. If you want a synthetic yoga, you have to follow nature. That's what he's saying. Nature is not rejecting anything, it is including everything. There is a chapter in Life Divine where he says, ascent and integration. So, when matter is ascending and producing life, it is integrating matter into it. Okay? It's not rejecting it. It integrates it. When it produces mind, the mind is also integrating life into itself and also matter into itself.
And what is a human yoga then? If it is not synthetic, what is a human being's yoga? You said nature is synthetic.
Oh.
Yeah. What is a human being doing? What kind of yoga we do?
Either Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Maya Yoga.
No, it is not synthetic, right?
No, it's not synthetic. They're not synthetic. That's why he says, to a certain extent, the yoga of the Gita is synthetic. The Tantra is also somewhat synthetic because it combines Purusha and Prakriti. But Sri Aurobindo's yoga includes everything. It does not exclude anything. He wants a perfect perfection. That's why it's much slower. Okay? So, it is this view of yoga that can alone form the basis for a sound and rational synthesis of yogic methods. For then, yoga ceases to appear something mystic and abnormal which has no relation to the ordinary processes of the world energy. Now, ordinary processes of the world energy, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. The evolution in the physical world, matter, life, mind. Okay? Or the purpose she keeps in view in her two great movements of subjective and objective self-fulfillment. So, subjective fulfillment, when man realizes subjectively the divinity within himself. And objectively, when he sees the evolution in nature going to the next step. Objective, outside himself. So he is not satisfied. Yoga should not be only individual. It should also be something universal. That's what he's saying. So subjective and objective. Subjective, the individual realizes the divine within himself. But nature also realizes the divine and goes to the next step of evolution. Fulfillment.
So when Mother speaks of the collective, which she gave great importance,
Yes.
especially in Oroville,
Yes.
but in the ashram also,
Yes.
it's a collective yoga.
Yes. It's not individual anymore. Sri Aurobindo is very clear on that. That was the reason why actually Oroville was made and also the ashram was made. There are other ashrams and other institutions with a large body of people working in it. Okay? But the ashram is a unique example of that. It is... there are other places also where there are things like, but much looser. For instance, there is the Findhorn Garden in Scotland. Okay, they also have a collectivity, but there is much looser. People can come in and go out whenever they want. They try to follow a moral life. It's not really spiritual, but it's a much looser organization. But still, there are efforts all over the world, like that small communities here and there doing this work. But Mother has less stress on it, and that's why it is collective. She wants a collective. Okay, not enough for one person to attain something. A whole group of people have to attain something.
I have a question. I have a confusion. Which is with regards to subjective and objective yoga. Can they both happen together, or you need one as a base for...
No, it doesn't happen together. The individual is always one step ahead of nature. Always. It is only the individual who can help nature. Have you not seen that in the physical world? Who invents a mobile? Man. But now humanity is using it. Okay? Who discovers the scientific theories? Man. And then it becomes general knowledge everywhere. It is always man who is one step ahead because he is conscious. Yes.
Can we say that individual always one step ahead of collective yoga? Individual yoga is always ahead of collective yoga.
Until now it is like that. Definitely. The individual
But it has to go the other way.
Yes.
Is it possible?
It has to.
No,
That's
it's
why
essential.
Rishikesh made Auroville and ashram.
You always make forward movement alone and then everybody comes.
You have raised an interesting question and I'll just dwell a little on it, okay? Now, if I take one stick, okay, I can break it easily. Right? But if I take the same stick, 10 sticks and bind them together, now will I be able to break it? So, a collectivity is always more effective than the individual. So, if one man attains to the supermental, not enough to change things in the physical world. So, a whole collectivity has to come. That is the reason why this is what he is doing. Okay? So, it has to come. As he said, it has to come.
Ranganath, like in essence, like I feel yoga is always collective, but it is the ego of the individual that gives it an individual form, like my sadhana, my yoga and all of that. But essentially yoga is collective.
Exactly what do you mean by that? There are hundreds of thousands of people who are not doing yoga.
I feel the yoga is happening, like they are being used as instruments.
Subconscious. Yes, that's true. It is collective, but it's a very low pitch. It's at a very low pitch. It has to become a very high pitch collectively. Then only it becomes interesting. Otherwise, it's not of any use.
When everybody consciously participating in it, right?
Yes.
Then it becomes a higher pitch.
Yes, that's right.
But you see, this is the essence of the ashram in Oroville.
Yes.
Not an individual realization. It must be collective.
Yeah. And also, it has to be based on in freedom and full liberty. Imposition like morality, you impose something on somebody, it's of no use at all. So everybody has to cooperate. That's why things are so slow also in Auroville, okay? So nobody is imposing anything on anybody. It's a free development. It may be much slower, but it is a sheer basis.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, so collective yoga is very interesting. Okay, so that's why it has to be collective.
Sri Aurobindo once asked for what, 10 men?
Yes, I'll tell you. He says, I want 100 men of a certain spiritual stature. Then when he started yoga and the ashram started collecting, he didn't find 100 men. He found only, he said, even 10 will do. But even 10 he did not get. So someone asked him that, is our cooperation necessary with your yoga so that you can bring down the Superman? He said, fortunately not. So, but he is attending to it. His yoga will not be delayed. But is his yoga and success going to bring down the supermind and change nature immediately? Not yet. See, the supermind has come down, but it's not changed anything. There has to be a whole collectivity, a race. Then it will have some effect. Okay? Let's finish the last sentence. So, the two great movements, subjective and objective. Yes, you were wanting subjective and objective.
Yeah, I lost it. Sorry.
Now it's clear?
Yeah.
No, you were saying there was some confusion between subjective and objective, na?
No, I was just wondering how do they work together, or sometimes we have the individual. Then if it's, they say that you can't have group consciousness, no? Like human beings are individual beings and cannot have group consciousness.
I didn't follow exactly what you're saying. It can become collective, okay? It can become collective when everybody is at a cosmic level. Because I understand you and you understand me. But if you are in ignorance, then there is no harmony and there is no. But if I am at a level where I feel myself to be one with you, which is a cosmic consciousness, and others also are there, the progress will obviously be much faster. Okay? So, I don't know exactly, I can't get the...
Maybe I'm just stuck in some fact or some thought I have in my head, which is that I thought human beings are individual beings and they have to increase their consciousness individually because they cannot have a group consciousness like bees or wasps or something like that. Yeah, I think I'm not clear.
What she's saying, Ranganath, she's saying that we as a human beings we are individual.
Yes.
We cannot have a group consciousness like a bees or ants. And since the progress also will happen individually, it cannot happen like whole group is...
Oh, I said that's what you're saying. You are raising a very interesting sociological question. Okay? It's a very interesting sociological question. Because someone said that man is usually, you can see this, what you're saying, the bees and the ants, okay? They work together, okay? And they work intuitively together, instinctively. But man has to work together consciously. That's the only difference. And that can happen when everybody is at a supramental level, at a spiritual level. Otherwise, no.
So that means it has to start with individual then.
Then how to do a collective yoga? If we are all separate individuals, still we reach cosmic consciousness can...
The collective yoga cannot be effective.
Sorry?
The collective yoga will become really effective when everybody is at a spiritual level of consciousness. Huh?
Before that, what happens?
Effort is on. Before that, the effort is on.
And you see, the problem in Auroville is that it has to gather all types of people.
Yes.
To create this collective consciousness. And so there will be some that are higher and some that are lower. But if the effort is not there by gathering a collective humanity, how can it happen?
Yeah. And that's why it is much slower. In fact, recently in Auroville, we had that huge problem of that
Crown
circular
road.
road.
Crown
Yeah.
road,
So
yes.
it slows down things. So when everybody has to participate, it slows it down. The individual can go much faster because he can withdraw himself and work much faster. But Sri Aurobindo Yoga is you have to remain in the field of action and continue, and collectively you have to try. So what Sri Aurobindo is saying is, whatever nature is doing, we'll do the same. And he's giving two examples. He's saying steam and electricity. Okay, he's giving examples. He's saying steam is very interesting. There's an energy in it. You know who discovered the power of steam, na? James Watt. James Watt. W-A-T-T. And the first discovery was made when playfully someone put an apple on the kettle spout. Okay? And the water started boiling. And that apple shot out. And when the apple shot out, they said, because in the West we are very practical. In India we are very more psychological, not practical. So he said, I can use this power. So the railway was invented with the steam, power of steam. And the Watt engine, in fact, Watt is the measure of the energy that you can produce. Okay, so many watts. So that was how it is discovered. So Sri Aurobindo is saying, we'll do exactly the same that nature is doing, we'll do the same. We will discover the power of, nature has discovered power of steam and electricity. We'll do that. What is that? Power of the body. It has a power. We'll discover that. We'll discover the power of the vital, and we'll discover the power of the mind. That's what he's saying. We'll follow exactly what nature is doing, we'll do the same.
But in Savitri, we have these dark forces that come up.
Yeah.
And they say, I can make water as strong as steel.
Yeah, that's the ego. That's a fantastic poetry. Yeah. I can make what? Raiment out of milk or something like that.
Yeah, raiment out of milk, yes.
Sri Aurobindo's poetry is absolutely unbelievable. That is, he is picturing the arrogance of the materialist scientist. That's what he's doing in that passage. Okay? I can do this, I can do that, there's nothing I can't do. But now science is slowly losing that arrogance. They are losing it. Because they realize that what they know is very little, actually.
The word consciousness has come into their vocabulary.
Yes. There's a very interesting video, which is it's a scientist who is having spiritual experiences. And he realizes that psychological characteristics are 10 times more important than physical things. Even Einstein, he wrote a letter to his daughter, and he told his daughter that at the fag end of my life I realized that love is the most powerful energy in the world. But the world is not yet ready to accept this, so don't release this letter to anybody. After 30-40 years, now she has released it, it's available on the internet. So even Einstein realizes that love is something 10 times more powerful than any other material power.
I think after science discovered quantum physics, they understood that nature is much more powerful. Those subtle laws which they are discovering slowly.
Yeah.
It's very important discovery.
Yeah.
Before they were very sure that they can master the nature. Now they understand.
Yes.
It's not that easy.
That's right.
Namaste. Namaste all.